and welcome to DLC's instructional videos. Today we are going to solve two-step equations. So, two-step equations, it's what you're doing. You're doing two steps to solve for the variable, to find what that variable equals to. And so let's go ahead and start. So we have 4 times some number, which we don't know, plus n equals -3. So when you're solving, when you're simplifying expressions in mathematics, you guys did something that was the order of operations. It was parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. We had, we could call it Pemdas to help you remember it, or you could say, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. I mean, these are some of the things that when I was a student I used to use so I could remember this. So when you're solving equations, you're actually doing the opposite. So instead of going down this way, starting with parentheses, you're actually going up, starting from addition and subtraction. So you're going to start with addition and subtraction first, and if you don't have that, then you move to multiplication, division. So that's what we're going to do. So what we want to do first is we want to eliminate the positive 9, and we do that by subtracting 9 from both sides. When you solve equations, what you do to one side, you got to do to the other so that it can remain balanced. Because an equation means that you have something on the left equal to something on the right. You can't just subtract something on the left and then expect it to remain balanced. You have to also subtract it to the right. So this is 0. That zeroes out, which is what we want. So 4n is equal to -3 minus 9 is a -12. And our overall goal is to get n by itself so that we could find the value of n. So just like we learned in one-step equations, now we have one more step. We're multiplying by 4, so we want to divide both sides by that same number. Because 4 divided by 4 is 1n, or just n. And so that's what we want. And -12 divided by 4 is a -3. Here, what you want to do is substitute to make sure that your answer is correct. So if n equals -3, we should get -3 as our answer. So what we want to do is we want to evaluate 4n plus 9 for n equals -3. And so let's go ahead and plug that in. So 4 times -3 plus 9, and that should give us -3. Well, 4 times 3 is -12. -12 plus 9 is -3. So we do know that n does equal -3. Our second problem here, the whole equation's flipped. Not to worry, you do the same thing. If your variable's on the right side, then let's go ahead and eliminate the numbers on the right side. And we start with addition and subtraction. So because we're subtracting 11 from -8y, to get rid of the -11, we want to add 11. That's going to zero that out, but what you do to one side, you do to the other. So add 11. That zeroes out. On the left side, we have 13 plus 11, which is 24. Bring down the -8y. Now, to get y by itself, we have to get rid of the -8. So if you're multiplying by -8, then you divide both sides by the same number, which is -8. And -8 divided by -8 would just be 1y. But 1y is the same as y, which is, okay, that's fine, that's what we want. 24 divided by -8 is -3. We're done. What you could have done was flip your equation the other way if that makes you feel more comfortable. That way you could have your y on the left side and your number on the right. It makes no difference, because -3 equals y is the same as y equals -3. Okay, so our next problem, we have -2d minus 3 equals 75. So we're going to add and subtract before we multiply and divide. Your d is on the left, so we want to eliminate everything around the d. We're going to go ahead and eliminate the -3 by adding 3 to both sides. That zeroes that out, so we're left with -2d is equal to 75 plus 3. 75 plus 3, 78. Then, let me make some more room here. So then we're going to divide both sides by -2. So now we have d is equal to 78 divided by -2. The answer is d equals -39. And if we plug that in, evaluate the expression on the left, -2d minus 3 for d equals -39, then we should get 75. Okay, so our next problem. T divided by 3 plus 11 equals 29. So what we want to do is we want to eliminate the positive 11 first. So what we're going to do is we're going to subtract both sides by 11 to zero that out. And we're left with t divided by 3 is equal to 29 minus 11. 29 minus 10 is 19, plus another one is 18. Just my way of doing mental math. So here we're dividing something by 3, and if we're dividing to eliminate the 3 below, we multiply both sides by the same number. And in algebra we use parentheses. You could have used that dot to represent multiplication. So we want to multiply both sides by the same number because 3 divided by 3 is 1, which gives you 1t, or just t, is equal to 18 times 3. 18 times 3, well, I know that 10 times 3 is 30, 8 times 3 is 24, which gives me 54. That's just my way of doing mental math. You could do it however you want. So t equals 54. Okay, let's go ahead and well, I guess we could finish these last two problems. Okay, so we have 6 equals -12 plus some number divided by -7. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to eliminate the -12 first. Remember, you do addition and subtraction before you do multiplication and division. So you got 6, please excuse me. Let me erase that. Okay. Let me get back my pen. So we're going to add both sides by 12 because that zeroes this -12 out. That canceled it. -12 plus 12, that's 0. 6 plus 12, that's going to be 18, is equal to some number divided by -7. What we want to do is we want to multiply both sides. So instead of using parentheses, I'm going to go ahead and use this multiplication symbol. And I want to show you that it's because we use both of them in algebra. So we're going to multiply both sides by -7. Okay, that cancels out the -7, so we have h is equal to 18 times -7. So I'm going to go ahead and do my mental math. That's 18 is the same as 10 and 8, right? 10 and 8 equals 18. So 10 times -7 is -70, and then 8 times 6 is 54, and then add those two together, 70 and 54, that's 134, and that's going to be a negative. So h equals -134. Okay, last problem. Okay, so I got 2/3 a minus 14 equals 61. So right here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add both sides by 14 so that I could eliminate the -14. That zeroes it out. So I'm left with 2/3 a is equal to 61, 61 plus 14. Delete that. Okay. Let me go back down here. Sorry about that. Okay, so this is 75. I'm just adding up and down. 4, 5, 6, 7, so 75. So here we learned on one-step equations that if you have a fraction in front of your variable, you could just multiply both sides by the reciprocal. So the reciprocal of 2/3 is 3/2. Now here it cancels diagonally, or we could just multiply top and bottom and get 6/6, which is just 1. 6/6 is 1. 1a. 1a is the same as a. Now here we multiply 75 times 3. 75 times 2 is 150 times 3. Just add 75 to that. So 150 and 50, that's 200. Plus another 25 is 225. So we have 225 divided by 2. Now this is going to give us a fraction because 225 is not divisible by 2. But we'll go ahead and just keep it as it is. And your teacher might want it as a fraction or might want it as a decimal, but that's just that teaches preference. We hope you've learned something from today's lesson, solving two-step equations. Good luck with your studies, and bye-bye.